Alright guys, so here is a quadratic formula. I believe I already sent the assignment to Khan Academy. And anyways, let's get started. So first of all guys, what I did send to you was the link to Mr. Khan's notes, or what he calls the articles. Alright, and I sent it to you guys because this is a nice, thorough little reminder review of the quadratic formula. It even includes the formula itself and explains. It even walks you through an example problem. Okay, so that's definitely worth your time. The second thing I sent you in regards to the quadratic formula was actually some practice problems. Now, the thing I will remind you of, guys, is when you do these practice problems, as you see, some of the numbers get a little crazy and outrageous. But guess what, guys? That's something you're going to have to get used to when you go to college, especially. All right? So I may actually share a few little number tricks along the way here. But anyways, if we look at our problem that's given to us here, right there, remember it has to equal 0. So the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to minus 7x squared both sides. Okay, so that means I have negative 7x squared plus 7x plus 9 equal to 0. Again, if you're looking at my work, I know that goes to 0 on the right side. Remember, this is the right side. Everything right there is on the left side. What I did was I put it in order by power, though, right? I did the x squared, then I did the x, then I did the number. All right? Let me clean that up a little bit. So, our a, therefore, always goes with the x squared term. Our b always goes with, in this case, the x term. Our c is always the constant, the number by itself at the end. And so, the quadratic formula, as shown here, we're going to use is simply negative of the b plus or minus square root b squared minus 4 times a times c all over 2 times a. So guys, I went to my calculator, and as you can see right here, I know that if I do 7 squared, that's 49. And if I'm minusing 4 times negative 7 times 9, I get 301. 301. See what I warned you, right? Mr. Khan will give you some weird, outrageous numbers. 301. So, let me slide this back out of the way. So, if we continue on with our problem, notice I have, therefore, negative 7. Let me put it over here. Plus or minus the square root of 301 divided by negative 14. Now, guys, here's a little number trick. Can I simplify 301 anyway? If you use your calculator, you get a decimal, for example, right? Square root of 301. It's not a whole number or integer. So can we reduce 301? The answer is no. How do I know? First of all, it's not even, so I can't even try to divide it by 2. And there's a neat little trick I want you to learn. If I add 3 plus 0 plus 1, I'm just adding the digits here together, I get 4. And since 4 doesn't divide by 3, I know 301 does not divide by 3. And so the bottom line, guys, this actually is the answer you would choose down below. All these problems are multiple choice, but some of them, as you'll find out, you're going to have to simplify. This one, there's no way you could simplify it. There's your answer. Okay, let's do another one. So again, what's wrong with this problem, guys? It's got to equal 0, right? So I'm going to add 16 to both sides. So what I end up with is negative 9x squared plus 3x, 16 minus 6 is 10, equal to 0. So as you can see, I got a 0 on the right, and all of this together is what I have down here, correct? So I know my A is negative 9, my B is 3, my C is 10. So let's get working on this. I'm going to do it down here and then shift it up to the right later. So I'm going to do the negative of the B, watch your signs, plus or minus square root, B squared minus 4 times A times C, all divided by 2 times A. Now, if I do everything in my radical there, guys, and again, I'll go ahead and use my calculator. Okay, guys, so shifting this back up here, I have negative 3 plus or minus, right? 2 times negative 9 means my denominator is negative 18. Now, what is the square root? Now, again, I went ahead and did it on my calculator. And if you look at the bottom corner of my screen now, I just popped it in. I took a picture. I end up getting 369. Now, that's the square root of 369. Okay? Get that out of the way in case I need that space. So, now guys, this is our answer, except can we simplify that square root 369? Well, because it ends in 9, let's try to divide by 3. Doesn't always work. So 369 divided by 3, as you can see, is 123. 123. Let's divide by 3, and we get 41. So, does everyone agree that 369, let me show all my work here, the square root of 369 is 3 times 123, and 123 is 3 times 41. See how I have a pair of 3's there? Let me give myself some space here. So, I now know that I have negative 3 plus or minus with a pair of 3's. That means it's a regular 3, square root of 41 over negative 18. Notice how all the numbers, guys, I can divide by 3. So I'm going to divide negative 3 by 3 right here. Negative 1 plus or minus. This 3 basically cancels out to 1. Square root of 41. Negative 18 divided by 3 is negative 6. And that's the answer you're going to choose down below in the multiple choice selection part. But guys, hopefully you're practicing your quadratic formula. You're also learning about reducing radicals a little bit, because you're going to have to do that for Mr. Khan. So his work is a little bit mathematically more challenging than my alternate assignment, as you'll find out. All right, let's try one more. So guys, what's wrong again is I got to get it equal to 0 on the right. So I'm going to minus 14 both sides. I now have my 0 on the right. What is all of this? Putting it in order, it's 10x squared minus 9x minus 6 equal to 0, right? My A is 10, my B is negative 9, my C is negative 6. Please watch your signs. So I have the negative of the B plus or minus square root B squared minus 4 times A times C, all divided by 2 times A. Negative of negative 9 is positive 9. Plus or minus. 2 times 10 is a 20. Now I'm going to do all of this radical work in my calculator. Okay, guys, and if you look at the bottom right of my screen, you can see I did the radical part, negative 9 squared, and so on. I got 321. 321, right? Now, look at my calculator work, guys. This gives me an opportunity to remind you, whenever you do negatives with powers and fractions with powers, use parentheses. If you don't, most likely your calculator is going to give you the wrong signed answer. Okay? But anyways, it's 321. So what I have, therefore, is... Oh, well, actually, let me just fill it in right here. 321. Now, let's see if we can't simplify the square root of 321. For example, I could divide by 3 and get 107. But guys, 107 is prime. You can't divide it by 2, it's not even. You can't divide it by 3. Try it. Believe me, it's not going to work. And because of that, the only other possible number may be 7. Try to divide by 7. It does not work because 107 is prime. So therefore, I can't simplify the square root of 321. My final answer is 9 plus or minus square root 321 over 20. So guys, pause the video if you need to. Let me make sure. There is one more problem that you're going to have to try on your own. I don't want the video to go way too much longer than it needs to. But hopefully you agree I demonstrated how to set up for the quadratic formula. I did the quadratic formula. I remind you that when you get that square root with Mr. Khan, it's not going to work out nice. You're going to have to simplify. Sometimes you can't simplify, but sometimes you can. Like the second one I did there. Okay? So, please give it a try, guys. It's worth reviewing. Know that next year, and especially once you go to college, guys, the number and the work is just going to get more difficult. And you got to use that calculator well with fractions and negatives and powers and so on. I'll see you around.